I hope you are doing good. So in today's video, I will be giving you guys tips with regards to the NRF funding. So I don't even want to waste your time. So let's just get into the video straight away. Tip number one thing that you need to understand is that marks matters. Your marks, your grade, your average, it matters, right? Because it forms part of the assessment. So if you're in your final year, if you're in your honors, you're planning on applying for next year, whatever the case might be, you need to understand that your marks also, they form part of the assessment, because that is one objective thing that they could look at, right? Before even looking at what your research is all about, what are your competencies and everything. That grade point average, that is something that also plays a factor into your application or into the success of your application. Tip number 2 is that you need to go through the NRF documents. I know there might be posters that say, oh, NRF is open and all of those things, but you need to take your time to make sure that you go through the NRF website, you look at their documents, because NRF has an agenda, right? And there's certain agenda that they need to fulfill. For example, maybe they'll have agenda 2030, right? So even the research outputs that they're looking at, or the research niches that they're looking at, they need to be aligned with their agenda, right? So that will also make you to ask yourself a question: where do you fall within the different research agendas that NSFAS has? And also just to go through that, to familiarize yourself with the different also funding opportunities that come or that form part of the NRF umbrella. Tip number 3 is that you need to also look out for your university's internal deadlines. Sometimes as a university we have internal deadlines whereby we submit the NRF applications, then there's somebody who looks at them to see what is it that we haven't yet attached, what are the supplementary documents that we had to attach that we haven't yet attached. So it's very important that you also look into your university's internal deadlines that they might have. Tip number 4 is that part and parcel of that, you also need to make use of the resources from your university. Different universities, they also have NRF officers or people that are responsible for NRF applications, right? So if you are stuck anyway, you need to contact that person who is responsible for NRF applications at your respective university, because it's very important. If you are stuck and you seem like you don't get the information that you need, either through the internet or whatever information that you might need at that point in time, the rightful person that might unstuck you out of that stuck situation, it is the person who handles the NRF applications from your university. So please make use of those people, email them, go to their offices, find out, seek out clarity where you need clarity, and don't waste that opportunity whereby the only difference between you getting or having an NRF successful application was just due to technical errors. So make sure that you use them as a resource or as an asset. Another tip is that way before you even start your application, you need to make a document checklist. You need to have a document checklist, that the different documents that you need. And if you already have that particular document that you need to upload to NRF, you need to make sure that you sketch it off. So a document checklist will also ensure that you keep track of the necessary documents that are needed and you don't lose track of those. And also it will help you also to know that, to be at a point where it's not the last day of the application, the last week of the application, and you're still, looking out and about for different documents that they might need, because they might need quite a lot of documents at times. So it's very important that you keep a document list for your own sanity. Another tip is that don't just treat it as merely a motivational letter, your application. It's very important that, as much as yes, we live in an equal society, right? And I believe that you take that into consideration, right? That some people have more financial leverage than others. However, you also need to understand there are also tons of people that live under the poverty line, right? And due to that, the competition is quite high, right? And as much as yes, our circumstances and our backgrounds, most of us, they're quite dire, but it's very important that also when you put your application together. It's not just in a way that like, oh, I'm crying for help and need this money and all of those things, but also it's in a way that you put your best foot forward, right? Whereby it's like a thing of, yes, I might be coming from this situation, but also this is the reason why I'm also, passionate about this and this and this and this is why I'm pursuing this and this and this and this and this. So you need to show that you're a well capacitated individual and you are the right woman or man for the job, or right woman or man for the funding. You get. Another tip is that you need to make your research clear. A lot of us get get consumed by the jargon within our fields and all of those things, whereby we fail to even make the research to be clear to the people who might be reading it. Because it might happen that your research is read by somebody who's a scientist, for example, but that person it's not like an expert in your field, right? And you are using all of this huge jargons within your field that might not translate well to the other person. So just make sure that you're clear. How you write something is clear, so that they are able to get what you are saying. And this also leads me to the next tip, which is also your problem. Not just research trying to solve, you also need to make sure that it is clear, right? We see that this is a problem, it's convincing enough that this is a problem, and this is how your research comes into the picture to make sure that to a certain extent, it solves that problem. Obviously, maybe it might happen that it does not really solve completely the problem, but it gives us something to see the problem in another light, or get one step further to actually us managing the problem. Very important. Another tip is that you need to show the potential impact of your research. Remember, if your research is clear, you have stated your problem clearly, and you have shown the potential impact that your research has, then you have won. You have done your part. Now the ball is in their court to say, you know what, do we give this person this scholarship or not? So it's very important that you make sure that you show the potential that your research has, so that the people who are reading it, they see, oh, us putting money towards this research, it's not just for the sake of a research being done or for the sake of a master's degree being completed. However, there is this impact that we see, or potential impact that this research might have. Another tip is to understand that you're not an island, and also there are people who have went before you. It's very important that also you seek out other people to review your application, be it your supervisor, be it somebody that you trust within the academic space, whom you regard as a mentor, be it a senior student who might have gotten the NRF before, so that they go through your application and they can tell you what worked for them, and you can get to implement that and certain things, because if you send it to one reviewer for them to just see, how it reads, they are able, 2 pair of eyes is better than 1 pair of eyes. So it's very important that also you get an additional person just to review your application, and they give you some insights so that you are able to refine where it needs refining. So that's very important. Get another person to read your application. Last but not least, this is the last tip: submit early. Guys, you don't know how many people want the NRF thing, especially in South Africa, because there's limited postgraduate funding. So you could imagine the number of people who apply daily. I remember when I was applying for NRF, just that now I'm not on NRF because I'm full-time employed, but I tried to submit on that day, and it was detrimental. The network was down, nothing was happening. I emailed the person from my institution who was responsible for NRF. Like, nothing was working, guys. It was just a long queue there trying to submit an application. I tried everything, tried to go to coffee shops, to use their Wi-Fi, did everything and anything under the sun. Nothing happened. The only thing that helped me was it was then announced the following day that the submission deadline has been extended, and that's the only way I was able to submit my application. So submit early. If you don't want any headaches and any stress, submit early. Also, that ensures that your application is not rushed, right? That you're able to read your application, reread your application. So yeah, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, bye.